This is episode 321 of the Super League Pod, and strap yourselves in for a long one. Dodgy edits, dodgy try celebrations, a wheelchair RL convert, and a new guest host. After all that, you'd forget the name of your club's top point scorer too. It's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 321 of the Super League Pod. This week you have myself, Mark, and I'm going to cards on the table before we get into it. I've probably watched the least amount of games I've watched all year this weekend, but we'll talk more about that later on. And I'm joined by a special guest host, Neil. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
So people will have got used to you over this year. You've contributed a lot to the episodes over the year. And right back near the start of the year, you did an SLP short with us about the Rugby League Record Keepers Club as well, Neil. So why don't you just give a brief introduction about yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, I will do. So people might have got used to me fact-checking things. And maybe before I jump into any intro on me, I'll fact-check myself for that short that we did earlier in the season, because I think when I was on, I said that on my first holiday that me and my wife went on in 2001, we went to see Warrington play London down in Carcassonne. And so on that wood and Benny Westwood make their debuts. My wife listened to the podcast after and picked me up on it and said, it was 2002. She said, I can't believe you got the date of our first holiday wrong. And I said, I can't believe I got the date of Ben Westwood's debut wrong. But yeah, I suppose proof that we all make mistakes, and yeah, our better halves will always try and pick us up on it when we do. But yeah, I've been leading the work at the Rugby League Record Keepers Club for probably the past 18 months, 2 years now. So the Record Keepers Club was originally formed in the 70s, but wound up its work in the 90s. And a group of us decided it would be a good idea to restart it. And kind of bring things into the modern era. So get all stats into databases and basically share the match records for all 70-odd thousand games that have been played in the UK since Rugby League was formed in 1895. So that work's ongoing at the moment. Will be ongoing for quite some time. But we have our website, which is rugbyleaguerecords.com. And people can jump on that, have a look around. We've just kept the data for members only at the moment because we're doing a lot of work testing it, but in due course, hopefully in the next year or so, there'll be a ton of matches there that will go public for everybody to kind of see and freely access. So keep your eyes on the site and watch our work as it develops, really.
Yeah, great stuff. We did, as I mentioned, do a short SLP short with Neil earlier in the year. That's still up in our feed if anyone wants to go back and find a little bit more about the work that the Record Keepers Club do. But of course, go over to the website as well. But for now, it's more going to be you chipping in with your views on the here and now rather than the records of years gone by. So hopefully we won't need to fact check ourselves too much as we go along.
I've got a couple as we go from the rundown you sent through. I'll pick a couple up as we go.
So what happens, right, is I just copy and paste news stories as they happen. I don't then go in and change the numbers that people have played, but I'm sure you can do that for us. You're such a stickler for the details that we'll get that right. But before we go into any of that, I should tell everyone that this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, Rugby League birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back and 1% of your order value will go to SLP by putting SLP discount in at checkout. So dare I mention, as we're coming towards the close of September, Christmas might be on the agenda for some people soon. So check out Rob's Toy Shop to see if there's any stocking fillers that you can get from them. Okay, what we got coming up as well? I've written here it's a big news week, but no, it's a week of lots of news. So it's a big in terms of quantity, not necessarily in terms of significance or shock value, but lots of news to talk about this week: retirements, re-signings, new signings, stuff all getting confirmed as the season closes in. So we'll get into that shortly. We've got 2 relevant and 4 other Super League games to run through, and luckily we've got a fan on in Neil of one of those relevant matches, whereas I didn't even watch the Wigan game this week. I was at a wedding, so that was one of the less relevant matches, I think, this weekend, though, as well as other results from across the world of rugby league to cover: wheelchair, women's, Championship, League One, and the NRL as well. We'll bring you the results from all those, and we'll make our guesses for week 1 of the Super League playoffs too. So we've got all that to come. Are you excited, Neil?
I'm absolutely riveted, Mark. Can't wait to get going.
Good stuff. And if we sound a bit different, we're recording on Zoom this week, and we normally record on Skype. And I've just gone to pick up my pen to write down a time check, and I don't know. So, we'll see how we get along with that as we now move into the news. News then, and we start with some retirements. Castleford Tigers captain Michael Shenton has announced he will retire at the end of the 2021 Super League season after an 18-year professional career. Shenton, who's 35, made his debut in 2004 and has played 416 career games. You're going to tell me it's 417 or something, including 346 for the Tigers and 58 at Saints. He played in 2 Grand Finals, 2 Challenge Cup Finals, and won 12 England caps, as well as skippering cast to the 2017 League Leaders' Shield success. So brings the curtain down on his long and sort of career of 2 halves for Michael Shenton.
Yeah, I think he would very fondly remembered at Cass. He obviously played a key part in that 2017 season that I don't think their fans will forget for a long time. So, I think it's an interesting one for Shenton because he obviously had his couple of years out at Saints. I wonder if he maybe regrets doing that looking back. He could have had quite a long unbroken run at Cass and, probably would have been even more highly thought of amongst them if he'd have stuck it around, because I guess maybe didn't take his opportunity that he got at Saints. I think he may be disappointed while he was there and kind of looked to get out, I think, as soon as he could when he went back to Cass and kind of kicked on almost when he did go back and did some great things in his second stint. So I'm sure the Cass fans will be sad to see him go. I mean, he still looks in pretty good shape as well, doesn't he, really? Looks like he didn't at the end of the game last week, but a sad way for him to finish, I suppose. But he still looks like he could probably go again, I reckon.
Well, we're at this age now, aren't we, where players are retiring younger than we are, and you look at them thinking, he looks fit. and it's not like players... It's not a player who's retired disgracefully, as it were. Kind of disgracefully is probably harsh, but it's not like he's one of those players who's put weight on, moved in further in the field and further down the leagues to just keep that rugby league dream going. He's going out on his own terms. I think that's one of the key things he said. His time at St. Helens wasn't sparkly. He didn't sort of step up from being this player who'd become an international and looked a high quality player to being a top class player consistently, which is what he would have hoped to have done, I guess, in that time at St. Helens. And that didn't really work out for him. He maybe didn't just fit the club in the way it was, possibly. But I think he won't regret it, because if you look at his Cass career before he went to St. Helens, and it was playing for a team that yo-yoed between divisions and finished low in the table and never really had a sniff at winning anything. And then at Saints, he was part of a team that came close to winning some things for 2 years in a row, and maybe saw a different professional environment and that sort of stuff. And that made him, when he went back to Cass, be ready to become a leadership group player, become the captain, and be part of what has been a Castleford side that has challenged for honours in his second career at Cass. So I think he'd look back on it as it was important to change the trajectory of his Cass career to go elsewhere, then come back.
Yeah, and I mean, I think clearly he's linked up with Powell incredibly well in that second stint, hasn't he? And I think that came across in an interview that they both did at the end of the game together after the Warrington match. And it's definitely a change in the guard at Cass now. And I mean, I don't know if he's going to be still involved in the back room at all there. You'd imagine he's the kind of guy that they'd want to keep about if they could. But I'm not seeing anything announcing that he's sticking.
No, you'd think that this certainly is the sort of player that they wouldn't want to lose touch with in terms of, even if he doesn't have a role there, it doesn't sound like he's going to. It sounds like he needs a bit of a break away from the club from the way he sort of spoke it to a certain extent. But
yeah,
he's kind of a player that future generations who might come through at that club, he's someone that they should be getting back in to talk to those sorts of players, to set down the benchmark, the standards that you can achieve. Because, he became an England player at Cass. He became successful at Cass as well as, having that spell at St. Helens. So, yeah, it's certainly someone that the club will want to keep close by, I would suggest. You're right.
Yeah, I agree.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. So another one retiring is lead prop Ben Flower, who's announced his retirement for Rugby League. 33-year-old made more than 250 appearances for Crusaders, Wigan and Leigh. Flower won 3 Super League titles, a Challenge Cup and a World Club Challenge whilst with Wigan between 2012 and 2020. Flower won 17 caps, not all full internationals, I might add, for Wales, and represented his country at the 2013 World Cup.
33? I can't believe he's only 33. That means he was only 24 when he joined Wigan?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel right. It feels like he must have been older, but obviously not.
That's that age thing coming through again, Mark.
Yeah, but some players you sort of understand are younger than you. Or Ben Flower, I didn't think was 3 years younger than me. But anyway, he is. And I think he'll be most remembered for his time at Wigan, and definitely most remembered for the first couple of minutes of one match in 2014. I think there's an element of that being a little bit unfair on Ben Flower. I would look back on the running in the 2013 season when he actually played quite a bit of that running, playing at the loose forward position, whilst O'Loughlin was only playing in finals and that sort of era, and actually played really well when we needed someone to step in and play really well, because it was a world-class player who was missing from the side. He didn't play world-class, but he played really well in that era. I remember him being a very, very good performer for Wigan, and surprisingly good. I think that period turned him from being just a member of the squad to being someone that Sean Wayne felt he could rely upon, depend upon, and made him into a first 17 player rather than a squad player in that period of time. And then, of course, all that came crashing down around him 12 months later on in 2014. And it would be wrong of us to not mention that when talking about Ben Flower's career. But at the same time, look at those trophies. How you might know how many Welsh players have won a World Club Challenge. I can't imagine too many.
you catch me out with questions like that, Mark. I don't know. there won't be too many, I guess. But yeah, I mean, when you hear his honours, I was quite surprised. A good time, I guess. But when you think he's had a long career at a top club, he's won a raft of trophies there, but he is going to be remembered for one moment, isn't he? And that's the one bit in the release that's missing that they won't make mention to, but there will be the bit that unfortunately defines him, and that's a cross he's got to bear, I guess. But over time, I'm sure he won't think about that too much, as maybe he'll look at his cap collection, his medal collection, and probably reflect with some pride on that.
Yep. Yeah. Even though there will be some regret that he cost himself another one potentially in there.
Yeah.
Another player saying goodbye to his professional career is Ireland international Tyrone McCarthy, who's announced his retirement for rugby league. The 32-year-old back rower or loose forward has made almost 300 career appearances for Warrington, Wakefield, Swinton, Northern Pride, Hull KR, St George Illawarra Dragons, Salford and Leigh. McCarthy won 19 caps for Ireland on the international stage and played in 2 World Cups for, it says here the Wolfhounds, but I thought that was